Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. In just a moment, I'm going to be headed out the door to check out the new slasher, Heart Eyes. Heart Eyes is directed by Josh Rubin and is starring Jordana Brewster, Olivia Holt, and Devon Sawa. This movie tells the story of a slasher who's been around for a few years now, and he stalks loving couples on that good old day of Valentine's Day. This movie looks like it's going to be an absolute blast. And dare I say, this is the return of the holiday slasher. It wasn't that long ago we got the movie Thanksgiving, and then I believe it was last year It's a Wonderful Knife came out, which, take it or leave it, I kind of enjoyed that movie. I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but I thought it was alright for what it was. And now here we have Heart Eyes. And right out the gate, I just want to tell you, I've already seen the slasher, he's in the trailers, and I love this look. It's a really cool mask, and I am super stoked to check this movie out. Now, before I take off, I want to say something really quick. Now, normally I do a little transition thing where I film myself leaving and going to the movie and going into the theater. Well, today it's a little bit different because the footage I'm going to use was actually from earlier in the week. There was an absolutely beautiful day here in Kansas City not too long ago. The weather was absolutely perfect. And so I decided, rather than just hopping on the bus and heading home immediately, I would decided to walk around the city a little bit and catch some footage so I can show off this absolutely beautiful day in my beautiful city. So you know what, guys? It's enough of me sitting here jibber-jabbering on. It's time for me to get out the door and check out Heart Eyes. Welcome back, just getting home from Heart Eyes, and guys, I really enjoyed this movie. I had an absolute blast with this film. Now, normally I do negatives and positives, but this time around I really have nothing negative to say about this movie. This film, for me at least, is coming in at a damn near perfect film. So let's get this started, shall we? Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is something that I found absolutely amazing. This film was able to take two different genres that do not go together whatsoever and put them together and somehow make an extremely coherent film, tropes and all. That's one of the things that I really enjoyed about this film. It takes romantic comedy and slasher films and puts them together, and they take the tropes that you find in both of those films and somehow or another make these types of films fresh and new. This movie did not seem like something I've seen before. It seemed very original and fresh, and I really appreciate it. It does seem like it's going to be just your typical slasher film, but this movie actually brings you into a different emotional core than you would find in a movie like this. By having this focus on something like Valentine's Day and couples that are in love, you really start to find yourself rooting for our victims a lot more in this film than you generally do. These are just people who care about each other and love each other and just want to express their love for each other, and for some odd reason, this asshole's going around and cutting up everybody into little bitty pieces. It takes the tropes of the romantic comedy and the slasher film, throws them in front of you, and still somehow or another makes this movie come off like something I haven't seen before. The chemistry between our two leads is also outstanding. Mason Gooding and Olivia Holt play our two victims, I guess you would say, in this film, and the chemistry between these two is amazing. You would honestly feel, even though these two are kind of thrust into these circumstances, you would feel like these two do have a history together, or that they are going to have a history together if they're able to survive this night of Valentine's Day. The slasher holiday film is 100% back with this movie. Talking about those kills, how do they look? Well, the practical effects in this film look amazing. There might have been a little bit of CGI used to to kind of enhance some of the kills in this, but the CGI is definitely used as a tool. There was no point in this film where it took me out of the moment or anything. All of these kills seem extremely brutal and extremely well crafted. Another thing about this movie that I really enjoyed was the sound design. There's a lot of moments in this movie where we get some nice squishy, icky sounds, and it really paid off to drive home the horror in this film. Now, I did say this movie is a horror comedy, and I do like my horror comedies to have a nice 50-50 blend of horror and comedy, and let me tell you guys, this movie actually delivers. There are several very good laugh out loud moments, and some of those laugh out loud moments are absolutely horrific, but it's done in such a lighthearted and fun manner, you just laugh your ass off at all of the carnage that you're seeing on the screen. All in all, I feel the filmmakers delivered on a very cohesive and great story. Taking the elements of the romantic comedy and the slasher and putting them together in one film, it was great. The story was understanding. It had a beginning, it had an end, it had a middle, it had all the things that you would want, unlike another movie that I just recently saw. You are also rooting for these characters throughout the film. There's great character growth and great character development throughout this entire film. Even for something like a slasher and a romantic comedy, there is still all sorts of great character development throughout this entire film. Now, those tropes that I was talking about, there's so many of them. If you know these genres well enough, they're going to scream out at you. For instance, the nosy best friend, the woman who's, just trying to get herself together. Boy, she's just having some trouble at work. She's a little awkward, and of course, she's just coming out of a relationship. And then we have Mason Gooding, or I guess you could say the hero of our story. Maybe you could say that, the other victim. And his character is just one is really cool, suave, definitely the kind of guy that you would want to take home to meet mom and dad. And I really thought that the actors did an excellent job of just portraying these characters on the screen. All in all, guys, I have to say that this movie exceeded my expectations, and I enjoyed it thoroughly from beginning to end. So if this does definitely sound like something that you would enjoy, I say get out there in theaters and check this film out. This movie is brought to us by Screen Gems, which is a subsidiary of Sony Pictures, so it's nice to see a win from Sony after the year they had in 2024. And let me tell you guys, I do not know what's going on with horror lately, but back in 2024, I thought we were eating pretty freaking good all year round for a horror fan. And here we are just in the month of February. And if you go through my channel, I have seen some very good horror movies so far in 2025. So it looks like that buffet is gonna continue for horror fans into the year 2025. So you know what, guys? This is a solid get out there, see it in theaters. And you know what? This is actually a pretty decent movie to go see on Valentine's Day, if your partner has a sense of humor. Okay, guys, thanks again for checking out The Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end and sticking around for after the credits. The reason I did this little bit is because make sure you stick around for the credits. There's a little bit of a mid-credit scene. All right, guys, thanks again. Have a great night.